In the spring of 327 BCE, amidst the rugged landscapes of Sogdia or Bactria, Alexander the Great made a decision that surprised many and had profound political implications. He married Roxana, the beautiful young daughter of Oxyartes, a powerful Bactrian or Sogdian nobleman. This union was more than a love match. It was a calculated political act aimed at reconciliation, integration, and the forging of a new, blended Graeco-Iranian ruling class for his vast new empire. Following the dramatic capture of the Sogdian rock in early 327 BCE, or possibly late 328 BCE, where Alexander first encountered Roxana, the daughter of the Bactrian Sogdian chieftain, Oxyartes, the Macedonian king, made a move that was both romantic and deeply political. He decided to marry her. This was a significant departure from his previous personal conduct. While he had relationships with women, including Barcine, the widow of Memnon of Rhodes, he had hitherto shown little inclination towards formal marriage, focusing almost entirely on his military campaigns. Roxana Roshanak, in Persian, meaning little star or luminous beauty, was by all ancient accounts exceptionally beautiful. Plutarch claims she was the only woman, apart from Darius's wife Statera, who ever truly captivated Alexander. He reportedly fell in love with her at first sight. However, Alexander's decision to marry Roxana was driven by far more than mere passion. It was a masterstroke of political strategy, reflecting his evolving vision for the empire he was conquering. The marriage took place in the spring of 327 BCE, likely at a mountain fortress or in Bactria. Oxyartes, Roxana's father, had by this time submitted to Alexander and was treated with honor, becoming a key ally in the region. By marrying the daughter of a prominent local nobleman, Alexander aimed to achieve several crucial political objectives. Firstly, it was an act of reconciliation. The wars in Bactria and Sogdia had been long, brutal, and costly, marked by fierce resistance and harsh Macedonian reprisals. This marriage symbolized a desire to end the conflict and integrate the Iranian elites of these eastern satrapies into his new imperial structure. It offered a path to peace and cooperation, demonstrating that Alexander was willing to treat his former enemies with respect and incorporate them into his rule, rather than simply subjugating them. Secondly, the marriage was a powerful statement about the future composition of his empire. Alexander was increasingly moving away from the idea of a purely Macedonian or Greek-dominated empire. He was beginning to envision a fusion of cultures, a blending of East and West, with a new ruling class drawn from both Macedonian and Persian Iranian aristocracies. Marrying Roxana, a highborn Iranian woman, was a concrete step towards this policy of fusion. It sent a clear signal to other Iranian nobles that there was a place for them in Alexander's new world order, provided they accepted his supremacy. It also set an example for his own Macedonian officers, some of whom he would later encourage or even compel to marry Iranian women at the Susa weddings. Thirdly, a legitimate heir born from this union would have both Macedonian and Iranian royal noble blood, potentially strengthening the long-term stability of his dynasty and its acceptance across his diverse empire. While Alexander was still young, the issue of succession was always a background concern for any monarch. The wedding ceremony itself likely blended Macedonian and local customs. Arrian describes a traditional Bactrian or Sogdian ritual where a loaf of bread was sliced in two by Alexander with his sword, and he and Roxana each tasted a piece, symbolizing their union. This was followed by feasting and celebrations. However, the marriage was not universally popular among Alexander's Macedonian troops and officers. Many of the more traditional Macedonians viewed it with suspicion and resentment. They were proud of their own Hellenic heritage and looked down upon barbarians, even highborn ones. They feared that Alexander was becoming too Orientalized, adopting Persian customs and elevating Iranians to positions of power at their expense. They may have preferred him to marry a Macedonian noblewoman or a Greek princess. To keep the royal line pure, some may have also seen it as a sign of Alexander distancing himself from his old companions. Figures like Craterus, who represented a more conservative Macedonian faction, were reportedly less than enthusiastic. Despite these undercurrents of disapproval, Alexander proceeded with the marriage. Roxana became his queen and accompanied him on his subsequent campaigns, including the invasion of India. She would eventually bear him a posthumous son, Alexander IV Egos, though their personal relationship, beyond the initial attraction, is not extensively detailed in the sources and may have had its complexities. Given the cultural differences and the pressures of Alexander's constant campaigning, the marriage to Roxana was a pivotal moment in Alexander's evolving imperial policy. It was a clear indication that he did not intend to rule the vast Persian Empire merely as a foreign conqueror imposing Macedonian dominance. Instead, he was attempting to create a new, hybrid form of kingship, one that incorporated and respected local elites and traditions. This policy of fusion, while strategically astute, would also be a source of ongoing tension and conflict within his inner circle and army, contributing to some of the later crises of his reign, such as the Priscinosis controversy and the Opis mutiny. For the moment, however, the marriage to Roxana seemed to achieve its immediate political goals. It helped to pacify Bactria and Sogdia, securing the loyalty of influential figures like Oxyartes. It provided Alexander with a legitimate queen from the heart of his newly conquered eastern territories, and it demonstrated his long-term vision for an empire where Macedonians and Iranians could, in theory, coexist and quarrel. Whether this vision was ultimately achievable or sustainable remained to be seen. But the beautiful Sogdian princess was now inextricably linked to the destiny of the Macedonian conqueror.